the one, the only, Ben Sion. Good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun Mitzion. Today we're doing Pesachim, Perek Tet, Mishnayos, Dalet, and Hey. I want to talk Mishnah Hey over here. Mishnah Hey distinguishes between Pesach Ladoros, and Pesach Mitzrayim. Pesach, it only happened one time. We left Egypt. There were certain, halachas about the current Pesach had to be taken earlier, separated earlier on the 10th day of Nisan, and you had to sprinkle the blood on the door. One of the other differences is about chametz. Chametz only applied, the Yisra of chametz only applied on the night of Tedvav and the day of Tedvav. There's an Yisra of chametz. For the Doros, 7 days, and Chutz La'aretz 8 days, you can't have chametz. So why is that different? Why is there a difference between them? I understand why, it was a special thing they had. They needed the protection of the dam, the blood, because of Makas Bechoros. That was the reason, really, they put the blood on the doors. Mishchu v'chu, the reason they took the Karban Pesach earlier, they had to separate themselves from Avodah Zarah, which is not necessarily present in later generations. But Chametz, why is it different, right? So we talk about on the Seder night, we talk about, right, the reason that they couldn't have Chametz in Mitzrayim, right? Because Kigarshu Mitzrayim, lo yachol hit mameya, right? They couldn't stay there any long, so they didn't have time to bake it into matzah. It wasn't that chametz is a bad thing, it's repulsive, like I talked about yesterday, and therefore you have to burn it and get rid of it. It's a totally different reason, is that they needed to eat something, they needed to have some food to eat. It was practically not possible to wait around for the bread to become chametz. It would take much longer. So therefore Hashem said, have matzah instead. So the mitzvah, there's only one mitzvah of eating matzah, and that's on the first night of Pesach, but chova, the rest of it is rishus. You're allowed to. You can eat matzah whenever you want. You can't eat chametz the rest of the 7 days. So I discussed yesterday, the reason you can't have chametz on Pesach is not that you should make sure that matzah is available for you to eat, right? That's not the reason we eat chametz. You can't have chametz the rest of Pesach. It's because chametz is repulsive. That's why Yehuda says you have to burn it. It's like nosar. You have to burn it. The meat is past its expiration. Then you have to burn it. It's repulsive. It doesn't taste good. But Pesach Mitzrayim wasn't like that. Pesach Mitzrayim was not usher for 7 days. So you see that the idea of being repulsive didn't exist over there. It was just practicality. The reason you couldn't have chametz is because you needed to have matzah. It's to ensure you had matzah, because you needed something, some bread, some food while they were leaving. They were leaving hastily out of Mitzrayim. They had to eat something. Practically didn't make sense. So the night of the first night where the mitzvah eated matzah, the Isser of chametz, the first day of Pesach, happens to be not just because it's repulsive. Yes, there's also in Ladoros, it's also because it's part of the 7 days it's repulsive, but there's an additional aspect of chametz that you should not have chametz in order to make sure to have the matzah, especially on the first night, right? You're supposed to have matzahs maram yochlu. You're supposed to eat the matzah, the two yisurim of chametz. And that's why Bali Yirah and Bali Matzah apply already on Yudalit after Chatzos, when it's the time for the Korban Pesach. There's already an Isra of Bali Rabba. You can't have chametz around. Lo tishra chametz al dam zivchi. There's an Isra alav. You can't shat Korban Pesach when you have chametz around. Not the first day when you're bringing the Korban Pesach. The Korban Pesach is supposed to eat it with matzah and merorim. That's the mitzvah of eating matzah merorim, to eat the Korban Pesach with the matzah. That's the chiyuv on the first night. So that already, when you have the ability to shat the Korban Pesach, there's an Isra of chametz to make sure you eat matzah, right? Like I suggested the other possibility. So there's really two aspects of the Isra of chametz. The first day of chametz is usher to make sure matzah, and all 7 days is usher is repulsive. And so there's two really reasons going on over here. And I think that's included in the mitzvah of bedikas chametz and bir chametz. Right before you do bedikas chametz, you say al bir chametz. And Amalchok is earlier in the Mishnah. What is bir chametz? Rabbi Yehuda says bir chametz is b'sreif. You have to burn it. The Rabbanan say on Bechol Davar, you can throw it into the toilet, you can throw it into the river, you can mefara v'zara l'ruach, you can crumble up and throw it into the wind. So, but everyone asks, why are you saying the mitzvah of bir chametz, right, destroying the chametz before the bedikas chametz, before you burn the chametz? The answer is that both are included. Really, we paskin both like Rabbi Yehuda and like the Rabbanan, right? That according to Rabbi Yehuda, the reason you destroy the chametz is repulsive. According to the Rabbanan, you don't have to burn it. It's not repulsive. You just have to get rid of it to ensure it's not there. Why? So that you can have matzah. So that's why before bedikas chametz, we search for the chametz, we remove the chametz from our houses, right, without burning it. The first part, right, we said the mitzvah of bir chametz. We start because we all pass on the Rabbanan, and there's an inyan of getting rid of the chametz to make sure that you'll have matzah on the first night. And then we conclude it by burning it like Rabbi Yehuda. To pass like both of them, we have to destroy it because it's repulsive. To connote these two ideas behind chametz: one, the chametz should not be around, so we should have the matzah on the first night. And secondly, because ladoros chametz is something which is repulsive, at least 7 days a year, we're reminded that chametz is repulsive. The good bread is the focaccia bread they serve you at the fancy steak restaurants. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.